Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Today, we're going to talk good about LeBron James. We're going to talk good about him because his fans, the Le fans, always tell me on my channel that I don't talk good about LeBron James, and I'm not a good person because I don't talk good about LeBron James. And I'm always bringing him down. And one dude said I must like LeBron James a lot because I never say nothing good about him. Oh boy. So we're going to talk good about LeBron James. And to a lot of people, when we go through this video, memories are gonna come back. Okay. But first, I want to do a whole separate video talking about what happened last night about Bronny James. I won't go too deep into it because I want to stay on this topic that we're on. But man, this guy, he bricked it up. He's not looking good. People go, oh man, he got 1 block, 2 steals. It's not easy to get. I mean, it's not hard to get steals in this NBA. These guys fumble the ball around a lot, even in the regular NBA, not just in this summer league. So steals aren't hard to get in this new NBA. I don't know. He was a plus, even though they lost, which was surprising. He didn't take a lot of shots. I think he took like 3 shots. It was 3 points. Let's move on. It's a travesty. Let's get into this. What I want to do is talk about LeBron James in his first stint, his first time around in Cleveland, right? Where he was the most respected in his career. And when the NBA was still respectable. I mean, it was kind of a funny, it was kind of a different era. We was coming out the 90s. You know, Kobe and Shaq just three-peated. You know, just a couple years later, after, LeBron comes into the league, Kobe goes on his own. In those early 2000s, the San Antonio Spurs, they become a dynasty. It was really, I guess you could say the Spurs and the Lakers dominated the 2000s. But it was kind of weird as far as who was the real face of the league in the 2000s, right? Because of the allegations with Kobe, and they were just coming out when him and Shaq were breaking up. So that's what was so crazy, because Kobe was supposed to be the new face of the NBA. LeBron James, he enters the NBA as a rookie in 2003, and he's going through his trials and tribulations like any young player does. Their first few seasons, he misses the playoffs the first 2 seasons. Not really a big deal, and then after his first season, after his rookie season, he starts to put up these monster numbers, as we'll see in a minute. It starts to prove that all the hype was worth it. I don't know about being the king or anything like that. I mean, that's a bold statement, right? But he did start to put up these monster numbers all across the board and show that he was this all-around player that we haven't seen since Magic Johnson. I would say people kind of sleep on Michael Jordan's all-around numbers, especially in the playoffs. His all-around numbers, let's see, all the way until 89 were monstrous. The dude was putting up 40, 50 per game, about 6-7 rebounds, 6-7 assists with 1 block. What else? Two steals on like 50+% shooting. This is what Michael Jordan was putting up in the playoffs. Was he winning? No. But if you don't win a championship, it don't matter if you go to the finals. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather not win the championship or rather not go to the finals than go to the finals and then lose. And then now you have a losing record on your finals appearance. So either way, whether you lose in the playoffs or go to the finals and lose, it just shows that you wasn't ready to win a championship. But if you lose in the finals, I wouldn't want that on my record. Rather lose in the playoffs. Maybe you might think different. So let's get into these numbers, and then we can talk more about, the whole thing. And let me tell you something. I was a fan of LeBron James. I really wasn't, and most people really wasn't a fan of Kobe Bryant. That was a Michael Jordan fan, because his style was all Michael Jordan. And there's really only one Michael Jordan. And, by the time he got to 2009 and he won that championship, Michael Jordan fans were a little bit we kind of looking over our shoulders, like, what? Especially with the media saying, Kobe could pass Jordan in rings or tie him. So we didn't hate Kobe, but we didn't like that he was emulating Michael's style. So being NBA fans, yes, we like LeBron James coming into the league because all the other superstars were just dying out. We like Karl Malone. We like David Robinson. We like Patrick Ewing. We like Hakeem and John Stockton, Reggie Miller, but these guys were getting old, or they were already gone. Scottie Pippins and, Larry Birds and all these guys that were gone or were just about gone. So they needed new superstars, and I don't really think they had them in the 2000s like they had them in the 80s, and they just didn't. They had Dominique Wilkins, and those guys didn't even exist no more. Who'd you really have? I mean, you had your Kevin Garnett's, but Allen Iversons and Tim Duncans and Kobe. It just wasn't the same, man. These guys were just different, man. They were just more fundamentally sound team leaders. The NBA was just, you guys would have to be there to believe it. They look. So let's look at LeBron's first season. 21 points per game, 20.9 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 1.6 steals, 0.7 blocks. He did take 19 field goals on 41% shooting, 29% from the three, 75% from the line. Now, that 75% basically would never change. And it's not good. It's not good for a superstar. To me, when you want to get about 78%, because every game you're leaving a lot of points out there on the board. So he's averaging for his career 27 points. If he really worked on his game, his free throw shooting game, he probably would have averaged 29 points per game. So it's a rookie season. Not too bad. The 41% from the field is lackluster. But he's coming out of high school. Nobody really said nothing about that. His second season, 27.2 points per game. 7.4 rebounds per game, 7.2 assists per game, 2.2 steals per game, 0.7 blocks. He took 21 field goals. You can say that, but attempts on 47.2 from the field. We're gonna give him a little bit of leeway because it was the dead ball era, so we can't beat up on his field goal percentage that much. But come on, man, you're shooting like 60% or more of your shots in the paint. To me, you still got to get up to 50%. I'm not gonna beat up on him too bad. Where we at? 3-point percentage, 35.1 that second season. But let's realize they didn't really take that many threes back then. Looks like he took about 4. He took about 4. To me, I don't know why he took 4. And this is what hurt his overall field goal percentage. He was always taking these threes when he was only hitting 1.5. He's not a good three-point shooter, and he was really hurting his game. Because he didn't want to invest in the mid-range game, which was still prevalent back then. So he shot 35% from the 3, and 75% from the line his second year. I mean, that's good. Now he comes into his second year, he's showing what he's got, what he can do, what his potential is. And in the third season, 31.4 points per game, 7 rebounds, 6.6 assists, 1.6 steals, 0.8 blocks, 23 field goal attempts. This is like on Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan level as far as attempts. 48% from the field, 1.6. No, that's attempts. 33.5 3-point percentage, and 73% from the line. He's leaving a lot of points out there on the court. So the next season, the next season, he puts up 27.3 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.6 steals, 0.7 blocks, and 20 attempts per game. And he shoots 47% from the field, 32% from the line, and 69% from the free throw line. The next season, 30 points per game, 7.9 assists, 7.9 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.8 steals, finally 1 block, 22 attempts, 48.4 from the field, 31.5 from 3, and 71% from the line. So the next season, I think we're all the way in 2009, because this is where we're stopping in 2010. Let me see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we're stopping in 2010, and I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Let me see. So 28.4 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.7 steals, 1.1 blocks on basically 20 attempts, and 48.9 from the field, 34.4 3-point percentage, and 78% from the line. The last season he was in Cleveland, before he went to Miami. 2010, 29.7 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 8.6 assists, 1.6 steals, 1 block, 20 attempts, and finally 50% field goal percentage, and 33% from the 3, and 76.7 from the line. So the guy was putting up monster numbers, all-time monster numbers. He was putting up all-time monster numbers. Nobody can deny that. Now, can we say that they changed the rules in 2005? Yes, we can say that. But they've always changed the rules in some type of way. I don't think it was like that, but we got to give credit where credit is due. And we always did. Nobody hated on LeBron James. Nobody wanted to see this guy fail. We all wanted to see him play Kobe in 2009, 2010 in the finals. That was the prediction. These are the guys that was the best in the game at the time. The guys that was advertisement in the NBA was spending millions of dollars on these guys. it was going to be like a clash in the finals of Magic and Bird, something like that, and it was going to be years to come. Nobody was talking about Boston. Nobody was talking about Orlando Magic. Boston got smoked by Orlando Magic in the 2009 finals, where they would play Cleveland in the next round and smoke Cleveland. Orlando did. But they wasn't supposed to. It was Cleveland who had the best record in the NBA, had the best team in the NBA. The next season, 2009, it was, because Orlando was number 3 seed that year. The next year, 2010, hey, Boston got worse with that super team. It got worse. And they got smoked. No, my fault. Yeah. Cleveland got smoked. But Orlando was a number 4 seed. That's how bad they were during the season. See, you guys won't say that was one of the biggest upsets of all time. It was. Cleveland had the best record in the league again. You don't get smoked by a number 4 seed. And they didn't lose because they lost because of LeBron James melting down in games 4, 5, and 6. We already know that. We know the story. So when we try to tell this story to LeBron fans that were pooping on themselves at that time, or didn't even exist, we're trying to tell you about a guy that was really respected back in the early 2000s for putting a team on his back, being a leader, being one of the great players in the 2000s, and putting up monster numbers. There was no YouTube channels beating a man up when he was melting down in 2009, 2008, 2007, 2010. Go watch Cold Pizza. Go watch these guys. They was pooping all over him. The Skip Baylesses, the Stephen A. Smith. Even though Stephen really did protect him a little bit, he really had to tell the truth after 2010. And then he goes and builds this super team. That's when he lost all credibility and all respect. Not because he was just some average player on a team. It's because he was supposed to be one of the next top greatest 5 players of all time, putting up these monster stats in his era. I don't think he could do it back in the 90s, but we don't look at stuff like that. We look at what you did in your era to be one of the greats. So if this guy would have stayed in Cleveland the first time, put up these monster numbers, instead of jumping on a super team, knocking on another man's door that just won a championship and was the second best player in the East, and Bosch was like top 5 player in the East at the time. No, bro. And these were the guys in your draft class, the top 5 players? You, Bosch, and Wade? It's like Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, and Charles Barkley. What are we talking about? Everybody said everything good about this guy when he was in Cleveland the first time. He was respectable. And then he doesn't learn his lesson. Stay in Miami. Nope. He goes and builds another super team. Not only did he go to Miami, he goes to Miami and brags that he's playing with these players. Because for some reason he had to explain why he needed the other 2 top players in the East at the time. So This was um this was LeBron James in 2000 in the 2000s in Cleveland. Very respectable guy, putting up monster numbers. And to me, if he kept doing this, winning some championships, you know, he had talent over there. We don't need to go through that. We went through that on another video. And it shows because he had the #1 record, went to the finals, and all this stuff for years over there. He was dominating over there. So you guys tell me what you think. This is all I can say nice about this guy. That he was a great player one time in Cleveland. He put these guys on his back like all superstars do. Kobe's, the Jordan, the Karl Malones, the Ewings, the Hakeems. He's no different. But he did it. And he put up monster numbers while doing it. And this is why this guy was liked and he was respectable back in the day. But when he left his team, left his town, it's over. He'll never be a top 5 player again. Or be a top 5 player. He just never be. And some people, not top 10. Some people, not even top 25. And they got every right because his antics kept going throughout his career. And maybe he could have salvaged that if he stayed in Miami. Maybe. But the decision, airing that stuff out, why would you air that out? For what? You just quit on your team. And then you got smoked in the finals? Couldn't even get the #1 seed in the East. Really? Only had the #1 seed in the East with Miami one time. You had it back-to-back years in Cleveland. Built another super team. Had the #1 record in the East in Cleveland again one time. So it just shows you he was more committed the first time in Cleveland. He had better teams that was more committed in Cleveland the first time. And it's all a lie. I don't know how much he's paying those guys that was in Cleveland the first time to keep the mouth shut, But man, if I was them dudes, I'll be trying to rain on this guy. For real. Because he ain't did nothing but cut them down, throw them under the bus, and everything. Michael Jordan never did that. Never did that. Unless he was telling the truth, trying to harden guys up to get better like that. But he never threw them under the bus. Oh, they weren't no good, man. I did this all myself. No. LeBron said a whole damn team was no good the whole time he was in Cleveland. Wow. And you guys want us to say all this good stuff about him? Then he builds a super team and then says those guys in Miami was no good neither? And then he goes to 4 straight finals in Cleveland. Those guys weren't no good neither? Tell me what you think.